Hi everyone and welcome to Ashton Equalitea. Today's episode is about emotional wellness and how to check in with ourselves when things become strange or bad or low. And we're going to be talking a lot about suicidal ideation and suicidal thoughts. So if that's not a conversation you're comfortable with, then please stay tuned for future episodes and I will see you then. Today's guest is Aidan Park, who is a comedian, a self-empowerment coach, and now author of The Art of Being Yay. This book is such an easy, quick read, but it's loaded with information and just gut-wrenching stories of his life, what he's been through and how he's managed to pull himself, out of like the dark depths of his emotions. And so I'm so happy to have him here to talk about emotional wellness, and let's get started.
Yay!
Hi!
Hi! Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yay!
And happy birthday to Michael.
Happy birthday to Michael.
Yeah. Okay, so I just finished reading your book. It's amazing. I loved it, and I love like the sort of like the twist between like the comedy and then also like you are talking about very serious things, but so in the book, like I know you talk mostly about like your highs and your lows and a lot of the work you do in order to get back into the highs from your lows.
Yeah.
And I was really taken by the story and like the time after Michael passed, because I know he was very special to you, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thank
that you lost him.
Thank you.
So what was? Can you elaborate more on like your experience and the emotional state you found yourself in at that time?
Yeah. So up until that point, I had had a lot of training in the empowerment world and the all of that, whatever. And when I lost Michael, the state that I found myself in was absolute. I've never experienced that level of pain before, and it was it was a loss, but it was also like the process of taking care of him through the cancer, right?
Right.
So you go into the emergency room and then they send you out with a prescription for Norco,
right?
And there's an opioid crisis, so
Yes.
you go to a CVS and they're limited on what they can give out. So, and they won't tell you if they have it over the phone, so I have to go to like 7 different ones to try to guess. Conversations like, Michael, the doctor says you have 10% chance to live. Do you want to continue or not?
Yeah.
Or holding his arms down because there's legal issues with the nurses having to do it because he's pulling out his own IVs. So I have to do it.
Right.
Right? So, and he's unconscious in pain and trying to... And so all of that, and then losing him, the state that I found myself in was absolutely... maybe it was definitely the darkest time of my life. And I would say that suicidal, actually. It was pretty dark times.
Wow. And this was after he passed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I tried to kind of use all those empowerment tools to try to make my life better and try to affect change, and it failed.
It wasn't working.
It didn't work.
Yeah, that was something I was curious about, because like the whole the first part of the book before you got to that point, you talked a lot about hope and needing to maintain that sort of like feeling of hope, like no matter what was going on, you always had like sort of like a level of hope that you were always trying to like keep up with, but then at that point you kind of lost it all.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it was so like effective, and like and why it hit so differently, like as I was reading through that.
Thank you. I guess, right?
Yeah.
You were affected?
Yes. Well, I mean, like, maybe.
I think my approach to managing my life was different. So, like in the book I say, like, when I was 19, or 18, I graduated from high school, got into colleges, couldn't go because I was undocumented, then couldn't get a job, so I became a Craigslist hooker.
Right.
And I was living in my grandma's apartment, not allowed to be there.
Right.
And then I got HIV. So that was a big low.
Yeah.
And the way I managed myself out of that crisis was hope and optimism. So and also, growing up, the difficult things of, growing up and being alone and with my grandmother and in a Christian conservative household, and feeling like, geez, even God doesn't love me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the position that I held was more like, when I was 19 and I got sent to this empowerment workshop, and a lot of empowerment workshops will do this, and they'll be like, all right, like, what do you want for your life?
Right.
And so it was very externally focused. I was like, I'm gonna go and get a job and make a life that I want and create this external, so I kind of generated hope for a better out here.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So then you lose your partner.
Yes.
And that's the first tactic that I took to try to, because that's what I've always done, is I'm down, let me try to fix what's out here, generate hope for out here. And I realized that's not gonna work.
So then what do you do at that point? Like,
you have to deal with the emotional end of it, right?
okay.
So it's when you're in the depths of despair,
And you get to that level of like wanting to commit suicide, or like you get to like that low.
Yeah, it's like the position of hope for out here is what I think the world would like to have you buy, right? So like you get it everywhere. It's everywhere you go. You go to college with the hope for a better future. You go to and it is important to keep hope. People say like, oh, these are clothes. You're in the fashion industry. These are clothes, and you buy those clothes with the hope of, maybe you'll make more friends. I don't know, whatever. That
You'll look better, feel better, like, manifesting, getting the good vibes, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to keep that alive, but there's another level to it. After Michael died, I had to realize I had to kind of come to terms with, because it was all for hope and optimism about tangible results, whether that be more friends or more businesses or more money or more success or whatever it is.
Right.
And I have to say, from 19 to 33, as I was living that way, I experienced a bit of frustration, because there is no amount of success or money or whatever to give you what you're actually looking for. I found you can change the tangible results, but there's always the next level and always the next level. And so when Michael died, I was like, all right,
this is more than...
Well, I tried the thing. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna work really hard. I'm gonna spend all my time with friends and da-da-da-da-da. And this problem was not solvable with optimism and hope of a better surrounding. It's something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did that explain everything? Or no.
Kind of.
Okay.
I think.
Ask me questions.
Okay. Well, I'm just like, I guess like when you're in like that mindset of like where you've really given up on everything, like where for some reason the only point or like the only solution you have is to take your own life.
Yeah.
Like that's something that most people, I mean, it's not something people talk about.
Yeah.
But it's like it's like I feel like that, like to get to that point means you've lost, like you have nothing to lose. Like there's like what else is there for you? Like how do you pull yourself out of that?
Well, so this is what ended up happening to me. I went shopping for a gun.
Right.
Right. I went shopping for a gun. It's in the book. I went shopping for a gun, and I found the gun, in person for $300, and I found the gun online for $75, and I just thought, wow, how can somebody just buy a gun for $75 when in person it's $300? What a freaking ripoff! And I was like, I am so cheap. I am bargain hunting for my suicide weapon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, if there was ever a time to put something on a credit card, that would have been right.
Yeah.
I even thought about even getting like a helium tank from like Party City. And I was like, I have a weird laugh, and I was thinking, what if I succeed and my ghost gets trapped inside the helium tank? and then they return me to Party City. And then some clown rents me out.
Oh, God.
And every time he has to make a balloon animal, he hears, ha ha ha. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that. And thank God for Judge Judy, because, like, you know, my mother, there was a point where my mother, she suffers from depression as well. And this is where I knew I was real serious, because my mom and my grandma were really close, and when grandma passed away, my mom was like, hey, I know it's really hard, but you know, I look to you and thought I have to gather my strength to stay alive for you, and
Wow.
so, you know,
Yeah.
and what I said to her was, well then, mother, why don't we both kill ourselves? Because you're staying alive for me, you don't have any reason, I don't have any reason to stay alive anymore other than you. So if we just both go, then we can just put ourselves out of our misery. We don't have to do this anymore.
Wow.
It was like that. And I don't think she knew how serious I was. Right? Like,
Yeah.
she was like really taken aback.
Yeah.
And after I said that, I was like, I didn't know how serious I was.
Right. Like that flipped the switch for you.
And then I watched Judge Judy. And Judge Judy was yelling at this Asian woman about, you don't have enough paperwork! Why do you think you're coming to a social meeting? Or whatever. She was yelling at this Asian woman for not being prepared for the court. And I just thought, that would be my mom.
If you went through with this.
I don't think... And then after a while of suffering, what's worse than actually... I believe this is the worst thing about it's that torn apart feeling. I know this now that I've done emotional research. So, that torn apart feeling. Should I kill myself? Shouldn't I kill myself? Should I kill myself? Shouldn't I? That torn
Like when you're like standing on the ledge, like, yeah.
It's literally you're being torn apart from the inside.
Okay.
That feels worse than making a decision lining up with it, actually. That indecision is...
The worst part of it.
Incapacitating. So then what do? At some point I was like, I need to fucking... can I curse?
Yeah.
I need to shit or get off the pot. I need to shit or get off the... Do it or don't, Aidan. Do it or don't. Go do it now or don't. That's it. Make a fucking decision. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. It's like, great. But then I made a deal with myself. I was like, I'm not gonna do it, but I'm not gonna stay feeling like this because this is terrible. This is terrible. So how do I get out of this? I can't live my life like this.
Right.
If I did have to do that, if I didn't have the hope to be able to not feel like this forever, I really would have done it. Okay. So in a way, hope and optimism does apply. But before Michael's death, it was hope and optimism around the situations in my life changing. More career, more money,
Right.
more whatever.
It was everything outside, yeah.
Now, I just wanted to feel better. So then I was like, at first I tried to change everything around me, it didn't work. And then it was like, okay, what if I apply all of the tools that I learned to an emotional result?
Okay.
Because what I really want is to feel good. I don't care about money or success. I don't care about anything. I just want to feel good. That's it. So then I started really focusing all my energy into studying how emotions work. How can I cultivate a more positive life? Not by changing things around me, but is there a way for me to become happier?
Okay.
So that's kind of what the book's about.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So,
Did that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
that does. Like, that totally does.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I guess, like, the next thing I'm curious about is because you do, like, talk about suicide a lot, like, in that situation and whatever. Like, is that That's something that a lot of people don't talk about. Like, they're not comfortable talking about it. It's not, I mean, like, even on this show, I'm going to have to put a disclaimer up that we're going to be talking about it because I know it triggers a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, why do you talk about it, and what do you hope it does, like, by talking more about it?
I think the not talking about it is why people do it. I do. Because it's shame is the great negative emotion multiplier. Whatever you got going on, you add shame and multiplies it. It does two things. It makes you feel completely alone, and it makes it feel like it's going to go on forever.
Right.
It makes you feel like there's something broken with you. So if you are in a tremendous amount of pain and you are suicidal, there is a taboo in this society about talking about suicide. So they're like, oh, well, no, don't think
Like,
like
it's okay,
that.
it'll get better.
Don't think like that.
Yeah.
It'll get better. How about let's go eat? Let's go. So,
Yeah,
what
they
if-
try to like diversion. Yeah.
What's the implication there? You shouldn't be feeling that way.
Right.
Fix it.
Right.
And what if the person sitting there? I shouldn't be feeling this way. I'm making everybody uncomfortable. I can't talk about this with anyone, so I'll just hold it. I don't want to interrupt Christy's day. I don't want to interrupt Rhiannon's day. I feel really terrible, but... Hi, Christy. How are you? How are your dogs? How are your
Yeah.
kids? No one can know about this.
Right.
That'll kill you. That'll kill you. Shame kills people. And so, I think we destigmatize suicidal thoughts. Because it's not something that'll go away by making it wrong. People who feel suicidal, if they are free to talk about it in a way that is permissive, then maybe we can give them the help they need. Instead of, don't feel that way. Life is worth living. Everything's fine. Don't you see?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not grateful enough for your life. Now they're being admonished for feeling the way they feel.
You know what's interesting is you just made me think of this. When I was younger, when I was in high school, I actually went through a period, my senior year. My mom had breast cancer at the time. I had gone from being a top student to like one of the lowest ranked in my class. Like I was failing at being an Asian person, basically. Like and just nothing was working.
I hope it was the second semester, because everybody second semester senioritis.
Exactly.
At 1.9, you're still going to UCLA.
But there was one point where there was one day it was raining outside. I'm from northern Nevada. It was raining outside. I was in my car. I drove home from school, and I sat in my driveway for an hour and a half, like crying. And I had pictured like going, because like Tahoe's not that far, and the road to get to Tahoe is pretty much like off a cliff. It's like it'd be easy enough to just like drive off the edge of it.
Yeah.
And I thought about that for a very long time. And I remember I told my dad, and he took me out of school the next day, and we went to the state health department to have me evaluated. And interesting enough, though, the person who evaluated me told me that it was normal.
It is normal.
And that
Yeah.
I was just being a teenager, basically.
Oh, well.
Like-
No. I thought it was going a different direction. I'm sorry. That's not... Should have just shut up after the first sentence there. Yeah.
But so when you were talking about that, it brought that back to me, because it was like, I mean, like, maybe it is normal, but then also it's like, I don't know if every teenager thinks about driving off a cliff, like.
Every
like,
emotion...
yeah.
It's normal. It's a normal thing. It's a normal experience. You're going through a hard time, right? You thought about, you're in a lot of pain. You are in the threat of possibly losing someone. You don't feel good about yourself. Sure, you might want to end it. Sure. I'm not saying, oh yeah, go ahead. I'm saying that feeling like you want to end it is a normal feeling. There's nothing broken with you about having that feeling, right? if there's nothing broken with you about having that feeling, and if we can more come as a society to kind of understand that, then we can talk openly about it.
And you think by doing that it would help to maybe not, I don't know, lessen, but at least like normalize the idea that people, I mean, yeah, like with that said, I think most high profile suicides we hear, like, you know, when celebrities take their own life or whatever, like it's always a surprise.
Yeah.
And I think if anything, if we do normalize the conversation, maybe it won't be a surprise, and maybe people will reach out more, or they'll get help, or or they'll, like, you know, I don't know, just talk about it.
Yeah.
Because, like, again, like, I mean, yeah, like it seems to always be a surprise when it does happen.
It's people want validation first and foremost.
Right.
Right? What is validation? And this is from the emotional research, right? Before trying to make you feel better, before anything, validation, a feeling that you are not crazy, a feeling like you are not broken, right? So, you know, you take 17-year-old Christy and you go, it's just normal, you're just being a teenager, like brushing it off, you know, but the reality is, you are not crazy for feeling that way, because your mother is going through this. It is a difficult situation. You're struggling. It's hard for you. And it's difficult to talk about. So there's nothing wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with you.
Right.
And I'm sorry you're in pain. And you're not broken. That's what our souls are longing for.
Right.
And I'm sorry that happened to you, that you know, you brushed it off or whatever. But I think that's so important. I think that is what we all want. How crazy making is it when, I mean, let's just like take like a lighter situation, right? So if we say, like, you know how like those people who see you at parties, they're like, oh my god, I love you, Christy, oh my god, and then you text them and thinking that, you know, and then they just don't respond.
They ghost you.
And then you think,
what's wrong with me?
Is there something wrong with me, or did I misread the situation, or that person said they like? How disturbing is that? It's because you're feeling something that is incongruent. And when things are incongruent and you feel alone and broken about that situation, you feel alone. You know what I mean? It confuses you.
Right.
So the number one thing that I would love, you cannot start. It's like this. It's like, if you're suicidal, you're suicidal. If you feel like you're suicidal, you're suicidal. You can't be in Fresno.
Right.
And then look at a map of the world and be like, well, I'm not allowed to be in Fresno, so I'll just say I'm in San Diego. But I need to get to New York. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're in Fresno. There's nothing wrong with being in Fresno, but the world says there's something wrong with being in Fresno. So what do? That's crazy making. So it's all right to be in Fresno. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or was that an analogy way out there?
No, I totally get that. No, like it's just the idea that, like, you know, it's perfectly valid to feel the feels.
Yeah.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you do feel the feels, I guess, like, I mean, so if someone is feeling the feels like that, like, and they don't have, like, either they haven't read your book, or they haven't, or they can't access your coaching, or they don't know who to talk to, like, what are things that you suggest, or, like, are there any, like, exercises or something simple that people can do?
Yeah.
To at least, like, you know, get them started on, like, I don't know, either, like, pulling themselves out. That might be too much to ask a lot of times, or just, like, how do you...
Is there... So, if they have... Secrets kill people.
Yeah.
They do. I take it to the other extreme. I go on stage and I talk about everything because I think secrets kill people. And by talking about everything, hopefully that girl who feels like, you know, she had an addiction problem and she was a prostitute, so was I. You're not alone, you're not broken. when we get desperate, we have to do desperate things sometimes. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So the important thing is to know that the person is not alone. And that's why I think as much as detrimental as social media and websites can be, it's super important to find other people who have been through what you're going through, so you're not alone, so you're not broken. And that is step one. Because really honestly, that suicidal thing is like, it's isolation and loneliness that feels like it's going to go on forever, and that you're broken and there's no hope for you. Hopelessness, that's hopelessness. How scary is that idea that you're completely alone in this world in your loneliness? There's something wrong with you. And nobody else feels this way. You're totally on your own. So you can be in a room full of people and feel completely lonely. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, I think if you can have at least 1, 2, or 3 friends that you can share everything with, that would be good, just to get it out there. Even if they handle it totally wrong, even if they're like, oh, don't feel that, whatever. Like, the fact that you got it out, you know what I mean? Also, web searching on, just even like listening to stories about, people who have been there. Or if you're watching, you can DM me. I check the filter folder. I respond to all of them. Because, like, sometimes I'll get messages from kids in Tennessee who are like, I want to come out, I don't know what to do.
Oh.
And I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I send voice memos.
Oh, wow.
And so, I mean, but there's other people like that. And so it's imperative that everybody feels like they're not alone.
Well, and they feel like they can talk about it.
And they can. And you're not crazy. The world, societal standards, has been set up wrong. You're not wrong. Society's wrong. We don't tolerate emotions in our society. It's a society problem, not an individual, I'm so weak, I shouldn't be feeling this way problem. We don't address emotions in our society.
Right.
That's a problem.
And that's not the person's fault feeling.
No.
For him.
I'm absolutely sure that it is a societal problem. And why is that? If you really want me to get into it, I think, this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
You can edit this out later. But I think that there is the idea of divine feminine and divine masculine. Masculine is about, go get it, let's go, conquer. Natural state, fine. Divine feminine is like nurturing, caring, looking within. Right? And I think when things get flared up for the feminine, what do women do generally? Cutting, depression, generally.
They hurt themselves.
Men, outward.
Right.
Right? So in a society that doesn't honor emotions, and there's deep hurt in both areas, how are they reacting? Men. And the thing is, deep hurt has been happening forever.
Right.
So back in like 1200s, who has more physical prowess, men or women? Right?
Right.
Like as far as like, I'm just taller than you, I could overtake you, right? And I'm not gonna, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so they muscle themselves into and create a society where is honored because they're being defensive, right? They're being defensive,
They're
and whoever
warriors.
conquers more
Yeah.
wins. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
And no time for feelings. Okay. So now everybody's trying to line up with that. Get more money, get more things, get more... Nobody's honoring their emotions. And we live in a society that is embedded. And women also, like, are expected to line up with that too. Like, they're like, oh, like, let's celebrate the CEO woman who conquered... Like, how about let's celebrate the sensitive man who's able to encourage their child to express themselves? How about that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So and this comes from me saying this from the 19 to 33 right there. What was my tactic? The traditional male, and I'm a master practitioner at Neuro-Linguistic Programming.
What is that? Sorry.
Neuro-Linguistic Programming is the idea that your language creates your reality, right? So
Okay.
that's an empowerment tool. But it was written by men with the idea of, let's do this so we can be more effective and more successful and more whatever, right? So I took that. I did that for 14 years.
Okay.
But when you really break, you must emotionally nurture. No amount of success out here is going to help you.
Okay.
You must nurture. I don't know. Do I sound crazy?
No,
I
not
get very
at all.
passionate.
No, I love it. No, like honestly, it helps with like the understanding when you. I mean, obviously you believe it, and so, and to see that like more than anything is, I think, what makes it more effectual to hear it. From
Oh,
you.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can tell I'm passionate about it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But so as far as like, I guess like, what is something we can do now, like as just individuals, to check in with ourselves emotionally? Because I know, like, especially, I mean, like, COVID,
Yeah.
like everyone's feeling things differently now. Like things are affecting them in ways that no one has ever thought they would before. Like we're all stuck in places we never thought we'd be. Like
Yeah.
our like. I've talked about this with my roommate a lot. It's like, it's that idea that like your comfort zone, or like your place of like rest and like sanctuary is no longer that, because you're there all the time.
Yeah.
Like she's been having problems with it because she works from home, and it's like it's hard to, like, we're like, essentially we had to rearrange the house.
Yeah.
So that she had like a clear space for work.
Yeah.
She has like, we keep things out of our bedroom. Like we don't, like, we only watch TV in the living room or in her office, like if she's like in there.
Yeah.
And like just to be able to create that physical space.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like what, like, but I know like she has issues. I have issues a lot of times, like with anxiety, or just like, just feeling like the funk, like where you, like, it feels like you can't get out of it because you can't, like, and you can't really physically go anywhere right now.
Right.
So how do you emotionally check in with yourself now that everything is so like wacky?
Okay. I'm going to give a couple of guiding principles and then how to check in with yourself, so that there's a framework.
Okay.
A guiding principle is, we all want what we want because we think we will feel better on the other end of it.
Okay.
And this applies every single time, right? So when I was 19, felt out of control, I wanted to improve the circumstances so that I can feel more powerful, right? Like, I want to call my friend because I think that talking to my friend is going to provide me comfort. So there's always an emotional end of things, right?
Okay.
So we understand that concept. So sometimes what happens is, I'll use Michael as an example. I wrote about this in the book. Michael was the money guy. He handled all the checks. I lost the big check. And I went, I miss you, Michael. I miss you, Michael. And understanding that concept, I was able to go, okay, wait, before we do that, and this is very clinical, but what would Michael be giving you emotionally if he were here?
Okay.
If you had what you wanted, what would be different? What is the emotional goal that you're going for?
Right.
And at that point, I was like, safety, calming. Okay. Michael cannot come back from the dead, but we can do safety and calming. Okay? So, Aidan, how do you give yourself safety and calming? I don't know, I guess the worst case scenario and I start talking to myself, the worst case scenario, I guess I can order a new check. Everything's gonna be fine. I stopped to check in with my emotions before I went off the rail. That's pretty good. I guess I can be happy about that. It calms you down. So, and I started doing this with other things. It's a super effective tool. I was sitting in traffic, and I was like, you know,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. All right. If you were not in traffic, what is the emotional result that you would have? Peace, a sense of flow, relaxation. Okay, Aidan, you're in traffic and that can't change. So how do we give yourself a peace, sense of flow? I can be really mindful and pay full attention to my wheel and the road. I can do counting exercises. I can play Sade, or I don't know. There's ways to meet your need without needing the world to change.
Okay.
So if you are home and you're feeling frenzied, and there's a solution in your head, right? Like you go like, "Ah, if I weren't home, if I could just get out of here, then I wouldn't, if this pandemic wasn't happening, then I would what? What is the result? I would feel free. Free. Let's go.
Wouldn't feel stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, how would you feel if you were? I mean, what is a complaint? We can do one with you, and I'll help you.
I mean, I guess that feeling stuck.
Yeah.
Like it's and like losing the days and just like I'm not going anywhere right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's me. I'm at home. I have the dog, and the computer and the TV.
Yeah. So, what is it? And you're thinking coronavirus has to do with your frustration, right? Or what is the frustration? What is the cause of your frustration?
The coronavirus is one. Like that feeling that like I'm too afraid to leave.
Okay.
And like I'm too afraid to interact with strangers, and like I don't want to bring anything home.
Okay,
So I'm just gonna stay home because I don't want to bring anything else home.
Perfect. So, if the coronavirus was not happening, all right, let's not go with I'm afraid of people because that's still a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is the opposite of fear then? What would you rather be feeling instead of afraid?
Peaceful, comforted. I don't know. Just like not afraid.
Yeah, or free or whatever.
Yeah.
So then your job is to go, okay, the coronavirus isn't going away, and dealing with people is maybe still not a great idea, right? Whatever. So how do you give yourself peace, comfort, and freedom within the parameter? And you start thinking creatively, solutions will come. You can hop in the car and go to Big Bear and walk around the lake. Mm-hmm. You could, I mean, what else could you do? How could you give yourself that?
Right. I mean, I've been taking the dog on longer walks. Like
Okay.
Sometimes he hates me for it. But I've also like just taking him to like different dog parks, or like, I don't know, just like, cause social distancing is still a thing. So it's been hard to see a lot of friends, but we've, managed to do things outside and things like that. So
Yeah. Like this,
yeah,
right?
like this.
So it's important to know what your emotional needs are that you're trying to meet, and what you're perceiving as the frustrating factor that's keeping you away from that emotional end. We're gonna get real clinical, right? So if I want safety and security and comfort, and I think that Michael's gonna get me there, and he's not here, and I'm bemoaning that, it's kind of like, it's an unwinnable game. Because I can't bring him back.
Right.
But I can give myself lots of creative ways to do that. And when you start tending to your emotions that way, bypassing what we feel like needs to change in order to get to what we want emotionally, then we are in charge of our experience. Truly in charge.
Right.
Because we cannot control the corona. We can't control the election. We can't control the weather. We can't control if an asteroid's gonna hit us, or if our lover is gonna die, or who's gonna get cancer, or we can't control any of that. But we can feel our emotions and go, what would I like to be experiencing?
Right.
And give ourselves that proactively within the map of what is reality that we can't control. So that's why I like the election, for example, right? I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I voted for who I want. Bring it on. Who's gonna get in next? Give me the map. What is the map? What is the layout of the map? And, you know, this sounds really cold, but it's like, I voted for Hillary. She didn't win. Trump won. Give me the map. What's his map? Oh, tax cuts for corporations. Great. I'll open a corporation and take advantage of those taxes. That's what I'm going to do for the next 4 years. That's what you got to do. Because the reality is that's what's happening.
Right. Those are the circumstances, and you have to find your way to live with it.
And then when Biden gets in, corporate taxes. When Biden gets in, I think he's going to win, but like whatever.
We're putting it in the universe. Like.
Well, I mean, whatever. You know, if he gets in, the corporation taxes might go up. Then I'm gonna file individual. I'm gonna be, you know, because when I book commercials or when I do whatever, I've been saying like, I'm a corporation. Please give me money through my corporation so I can pay myself. Biden gets in, corporate taxes go up to 40%. Hey, I'm filing individually. So you can really stay malleable if you're aware of what's happening that which we cannot control, and give yourself what your needs are, meeting those things anyway. Does that help?
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, I think that's a great way to just like look at things, and especially like, because, I mean, I know now, especially a lot of people are feeling very helpless. And so, and I think that's why it was so great that you came, and I'm so glad like we got to talk today, because like I think that's something that a lot of people are missing, that conversation. They're not able to they don't have someone to have that conversation with. They don't know how to ask those questions. And so,
and may I add, as a society, what do we think about helpless people? Pathetic.
They're weak.
Loser.
Right. They're like, what is it? What do they call people on welfare?
Like,
pull yourself with the bootstraps and like.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So, what are people doing? I feel helpless, but I can't tell anybody.
They're holding it in.
And so now they feel alone and broken and sad by themselves. Danger. Is it any wonder why society suicide rates are going up?
Right.
Because they feel helpless and they don't have the permission to actually express that, because that makes them weak.
Right.
So suffer alone. Rather you suffer alone.
Alone and in silence.
Yeah. Oh, let me give you medications that we make money off of. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people need medication. You know what I mean?
Yes,
though,
I know what you mean. Yeah, no, like it's like, I mean, there's things that I think aren't necessarily symptoms. Like, and it's always better to treat causes more than it is to treat symptoms. That's actually going to be one of my other talks that I'm having with someone else. But yeah.
It's like, I will say this for sure. I think that the pharmaceutical industry has something to gain by diagnosing you something and giving you pills.
Right.
The food industry has something to gain by telling you that it's your fault for not going on a diet, and here's more high fructose corn syrup.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's your fault for not getting in control of your body, so you should feel ashamed. Oh, and here's Weight Watchers. Oh, why don't you buy this also? Oh, are you sad because you're frustrated? Here, take this pill also. So like, and they're making money off of this.
Yeah.
So it's good to look at who's benefiting, who's profiting from convincing us that we need certain products. Anyway, that's like for a whole other thing.
Yeah. Well, no, but so with that said, like with your coaching and your self-empowerment, like, you know, the materials that you, like you're, you know, that people are coming to you for now, like what is it that you offer that is different from that?
Well, I want people to learn the tools and go away. I don't want to be your person forever.
Yeah.
I'm not a therapist that's, okay, like, that's the thing about therapy too. Like, therapy will be like, okay, well, oh God, I cannot believe I'm saying this on camera. we'll talk about your problem and talk about your problem and talk about your problem and
Yeah.
talk about your problem and talk about your problem and talk about your problem. What happened to your mom? What happened to your dad? What happened when you were a child?
Yeah.
Just talk. Same therapy for 7 years. I'm like, no. You come here. I'm gonna teach you some tools. And I want you to take those and go away and come back to me on a need basis.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe like 4 or 5 at the beginning so that we can like figure out like some tools to
Yeah.
like, okay, when you feel this, how do you do this? And come back if you need me, I'm here. But fly, bird, fly.
Yeah.
I'm not handcuffing anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how brilliant is this? We diagnose you with depression. How long is that prescription? Forever.
Right.
Brilliant. Great. Weight Watchers program. How long do you stay that? Forever. Great. Awesome. Great.
No, I get it. No, like it is really like, you know, treating the symptoms versus the cause.
Yeah, let's learn tools how to effectively manage our own emotions and go where we can pick up tools so we can self-care and move forward. Not use me as a crutch. Don't use me as a crutch. Pick up the tools and go forward. That's what I advocate.
Perfect. No, that's great. Okay, well, with that said, like, let's have a piece of cake for Michael.
Yay!
Yeah. So happy birthday, Michael.
Yay.
Thank you so much, Aidan, for coming.
Thank you.
I really love this, and yeah, I'll put like the book, the website, whatever you want. We'll put it up on the website socials, and we'll get people coming to you, because I think what you have to offer is great, and I really do. I appreciate. I know many people would like appreciate having like the tools and the ability to like, you know, not just like pull themselves up, but to like, or to like to be able at least to check in with themselves and know like,
Yeah.
like and the validation, and I think that's really important
It's
too.
all emotional.
Yes.
It's thoughts, literally, it's your thoughts create emotions, create action, create results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, gotta get your thoughts in order, gotta get your emotions in order. And people just skip that and they go like, no, you need willpower. Get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, like, how long is that gonna last? Jeez.
Right.
Like, so, you fix the emotional end of it, it's quick.
Yeah.
The way this book happened, I know that, and let me know if I'm going on or not.
No.
But the way this book happened was like, not because I wanted to write a book. Like, I started doing some of these tools. I like kind of was like, okay, like I'll try to apply some of these, and I met with my mentor, Enette Morton, right after Michael died, and she was worried about me. And then about 10 months later, she saw me, different person, and she was like, what are you doing? What are you she's astute enough to know when people are faking it. So, what are you doing? I'm trying these emotional, you should write a book. So she introduced me to her friend who's a book coach,
Oh, okay.
and she was like, this is awesome, I'm giving you a scholarship to my program, you're gonna get this book done.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't like I was like, and so what I say is like, if you focus on the emotional end of things, then your confidence, your sense of empowerment, your feeling good about yourself will increase to an extent that people around you will notice. And if you want to know something, like, you know, who do you want to go on a date with? Someone empowered, someone happy, someone confident? Or do you want to go, bleh? Who do you want to hire? Who do
Right.
people want to hire?
Yeah.
Who do people want to be friends with? Who do people
Yeah.
want to work with? After I started doing this, my effectiveness as far as tangible things went through the roof.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, I wanted the yay before by fixing the life around me.
Right.
But when I got the yay, the life around me,
Fix itself. Yeah. No, I think that's a really interesting point, because you know, like they always say, like surround yourself with the people who emulate the life you want. Or like surround yourself with the things that, you know, that emulate the life you want. But from what you're saying, it's like, yes, but also like, you know, there's work to be done internally as well. Like, because if you do that work internally, then the life you want essentially comes to you.
naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you feel good about yourself. The negative thing is some of those friends who can't handle it fall away.
But then they weren't really friends, right?
Yeah. So you know,
Yeah.
but it's like, it's so much easier to change from here and attract rather than grab at people that feel like they have what you want, because
Right.
that could be an illusion or whatever.
Right.
But you can be authentic here and the people will show up. It's like a miracle. It's like amazing.
Yeah, no, I think authenticity is a good word to put there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yay!
Yay, thank you so much.
Sure, yay!
Yeah, and yay. Let's have some cake.
Yay, okay, good.
Thank you so much to Aidan for coming out and having a little tea time with me. I'm so grateful for his energy and his knowledge and just his enthusiasm. And also, thank you and happy birthday to Michael. I'm sure he's looking down on us and is very proud of Aidan. And I'm so happy to be able to help spread the word on his book, again, The Art of Being, yay. And also his empowerment coaching. So if you would like to know more, the book is available on Amazon or at aidanpark.com. And he also has vlogs, and he has his empowerment coaching that you can sign up for there. He did say that if you were interested and you maybe didn't know if you could afford it, he does offer a free 30-minute consultation. So please, again, go to aidanpark.com or search him on social media at Aidan Park, and he can get you set up. Thank you so much again, and I will see you next week.